This is day 37 of meditating for 1 hour in the morning and rolling tape afterwards. Today I want to talk to you about a bus driver named Gina Perez. So last night I went into New York City, taking the 167 into the Port Authority because I wanted to go see Kyle Cease. So Kyle Cease just launched his new book, and he did it at the Barnes & Noble in Union Square, downtown in New York. And Kyle is the gentleman who hosted the weekend retreat in Los Angeles that I took back in March. And I wanted to just go and say hi and support that exciting experience for him. And so I get on the 167, and Gina Perez was the bus driver. And the first thing that happened is Gina pointed out that I had dropped my glasses outside, and so I was able to go out and grab those. And then I, sat in the front, and then I watched Gina say hello to every passenger and welcome them on the bus. And then there was a family. There was a child, a mother, and clearly a grandmother. And while the mother was taking care of the child, the grandmother was dealing with this large carriage. So Gina goes outside and is talking to them, and the next thing I know is she's helping them close up the carriage and helping them hoist this pretty cumbersome carriage into the bus and helping them, give it its own seat in the seat in front of mine, and, don't worry, we'll deal with payment in just a little bit, let's just get going, and on the road we go, and soon after that she takes their money, and that's that. And then we come across the next stop, and there's an elderly gentleman in a wheelchair. And so Gina pulls up and opens the door, and she's chatting with him and telling him, okay, give me 1 minute. And once again she goes outside and is talking to him. And I see her pointing to the bus, and I see her attempting to close up the wheelchair. So I get inspired and I go outside and see how I can help. Now, my motivation was to help to get this whole thing going so we could get back on the road because I didn't want to be late. So it was a selfish motivation. That faded away pretty quickly because what I was coming to realize is that the storage unit on the outside of the bus was locked, and it was locked by the TSA because they do that every once in a while, and they put this special lock on it unless we had, like a pick or a screwdriver or a scissor or something with that kind of a point to pop this thing open. It wasn't going to happen. So clearly this elderly man, is living a rough life, and but Gina treated him with unbelievable respect. And the next thing I know, we are helping this gentleman get on the bus, and then Gina and I are closing up the wheelchair. And now I'm looking at the bus, so I'm looking inside the bus, and I'm like waving to this gentleman who's sitting there thinking, it'd be nice to get a guy's help here. But nobody came out. Gina said to me, you know what, we don't need anybody's help. Let's show them what girl power is all about. So we close up the wheelchair, and together we lift this thing up, and we go up the steps into the bus, and we figure out a way to, kind of put it where it needs to be put, and somebody hands me my bag because now I'm sitting next to the gentleman who's, clearly having a difficult time. And it was just remarkable and inspiring, the dignity with which she dealt with him. And he comes to his stop, and Gina and I help get the wheelchair off, and we help him get down the steps, and he's thanking us, and it was just life-changing. So I end up spending the rest of my time talking to this woman, and the first thing I say to her is, oh man, you've got to win the Bus Driver of the Year award. You're just like amazing. She's like, oh my gosh, that's so kind of you. I've never won. I said, oh, there really is such a thing? She goes, yeah. I go, well, like, when did they do it? Is there a deadline or something? She goes, yeah, I think it's actually coming up. And I thought, wow. So I started asking her questions. I got her name and her employee number, and I mean, all the way into the city, this woman inspired me deeply because she lives her life with one sole focus and purpose, and that is to be of service and to help every single passenger get to their destination safely, to treat all people with dignity and respect and kindness. You know, she talked about how she has to work twice as hard, all the women do, because that's what it takes in a male-dominated industry to prove that you're just as good as the guys and that you deserve the same respect that they get. I mean, it was remarkable. The other thing that was happening is I was realizing that we had no traffic. And there comes a point where you come off the turnpike and you kind of curve around and you're heading towards the tunnel. And that's always where there's traffic because different, roads are merging as you're heading into the tunnel. And I said to her, oh, geez, I hope we don't have too much traffic. No traffic. This is like never happened. Then there was a point where you actually curve around and you're heading literally into the tunnel. And that's always where there's traffic. No traffic. So we're laughing, I'm saying, Jesus, this is like the Red Sea has been parted. And it was such a reminder that we live in a benevolent universe. And when we are kind, kindness comes back to us. Not only are we the first persons to experience kindness because it's coming through us, but as we give it away, it comes back to us. We live in a benevolent universe the entire way into the city. She was like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. This has never happened. We were laughing and laughing and laughing. So by the time we got to the Port Authority, she took us, down to the very end of the line. She's like, I'm giving you guys the VIP treatment. I've never, had a bus driver take us all the way down to the end of the line. It was pretty sweet where you end up as far as getting into the Port Authority. Gave her my radio show card and said, hey, I don't know if you love rock and roll, but I got a radio show and I'm going to be talking about you Friday. And I said, and I'll see you at the podium with that award. And so I'm going to call her boss, Sean, after I upload this video and tell him what a remarkable person. So I'm telling you this because here's the point. We give away our power to other people. We give away our power to politicians, to leaders, to other people, to our bosses, to other people. It's time to take that power back and recognize that you have power as you are. Your kindness, caring for each other, treating each other with respect and dignity, with compassion, is what it's all about. And we have the opportunity to make a difference right now, today, in somebody's life, the way Gina Perez makes a difference in everybody's life every time she gets behind that wheel and drives that bus into the city. Just a remarkable woman, so inspired by her story. And it's really deeply changing me, and that is exactly what I personally needed. I needed to be reminded that I have the power to make a difference right where I am, with my mom, with my family, with the neighbors on this block, and with every single person I come in contact with. Join me. Let us make a difference. We may not be able to change what's happening at the top of the hierarchy that's about to collapse, but we can build the new infrastructure from the bottom up so that when it does come tumbling down, we're standing strong and moving on because we've already called in the new way. This is day 37.